What does it do, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says. I am your host, and welcome to episode 136, my folks. And I hope you saw last week's episode 135 because, whoo, boy, everything I warned about, the exact things I feared came to pass. For the Rams against Carolina this past weekend. And so now the Rams have fallen to still a respectable record of 9-3. And there's a good news, bad news aspect to it all. I mean, the good news is, hey, the Rams are 9-3 with 5 to go, and you're not going to win every game, and so it's a long, arduous journey to championship land, and so you have bumps and hiccups along the way, and the Rams have shown that they have the ability to respond to a setback, and so you hope that they will learn from this loss that they took at the hands of the Panthers and move forward accordingly, better and stronger to finish the journey. That's the hope, right? But, well, the bad news, though, see? The bad news is there is a fly in the soup. And nobody wants maggoty bisque. I mean, I told the head coach last week, and I quote, if you succumb to hubris, sir, you will pay a heavy penalty in the postseason against a quality team. Do you remember? I said to Coach McWonder, I said you must resist the temptation to chuck it, and you must employ balance. You must run the ball. It's imperative. It's not an option. And I said to Coach McGenius, I said, when you go to Carolina, they're feisty. They're on the come up. I warned them last episode. And if you go out there, and if you're not tight, and if you're not right, and if you go out there, chuck it out in the weather, you're gonna wear an L on your head. What does he have on his head this week, my folks? A big fat L. Just as I feared. And it's not the loss so much as it is the way that the loss occurred. Because it was the exact same thing I've been warning him and telling you about for years now. Coach McWonder has tendencies. He has proclivities. He has idiosyncrasies. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And I created a formula, a recipe, a roadmap to help him. I called it the 25-30 principle. And you know it's golden. You know it is. I come every week and I show it to you. I'll show you again. I'll show you this episode yet again. But for a time, I thought my message was getting through to Coach McWonder, and it appeared as though he had evolved. He was heeding the advice, and he was playing fundamentally sound football. He was play calling with balance. And he won every game that he used my principle, he won every one of them. And then the hubris, it set in again. And he said, I don't need that damn principle. We don't need no stinking principle. We will do it the Air McWonder way. And so, my folks, they find the Rams, well, sort of at a crossroads. Hopefully they will respond the right way, and I believe that they will. And I'll be honest with you now, I don't want to make it gloom and doom because, as I say, they're not going to win them all. I predicted, as you may know, at the beginning of the season, before the first game of the season, that the Rams would go 12-5. And I told you last week that the Rams were even ahead of the schedule that I had projected for them. At 9-2, you dig, they were flying, streaking 6 in a row. And so, a loss, well, they are pretty much where I thought they'd be. But the concerning aspect of it is there's a fly swimming in my soup. I'll say it again for the people in the back. If you abandon the ground game, if you eschew the run in the postseason against a quality team, it will bite your ass. I'm telling you. You will go down to defeat L's to be had in the postseason, and we don't want that. We don't want to run against the rocks. We don't want the ship to sink. We don't want to have to get in a lifeboat. We want to arrive at our destination safely. I mean, visualize it. Imagine, if you will. Let me paint the picture for you. We're sailing on the beautiful SS Rambo, state of the art. And we learn that the captain is a young, brash, but widely admired captain. He has made the journey before, and it's a perilous one. It's an arduous one. You've got to cross deep waters. The journey takes 5-6 months from when you set sail to when you would successfully arrive at championship land. And so over the course of such a journey, there are all sorts of pitfalls that can befall a captain out on the high seas. There are storms, and there's poor visibility, and there are creatures, sharks, sea monsters maybe. We don't know. I mean, there are rocks. You have to be careful around the rocks. And so you find that Captain McWonder is widely regarded for how fast, how swiftly he makes this arduous journey. He's done it before, and he's done it in record time. And now he has a halo effect around him. He's young and impetuous and brash, and yet he has been successful. And the people love McWonder, and we're sailing with McWonder, and we trust McWonder, but there's a little issue. McWonder has had his run-ins, let's say. Well, one time he didn't quite make it all the way. He had to abandon ship, lifeboats. One time he ran aground too close to the rocks, Captain. I'm trying to paint the picture for you, right? Let's say we're sailing, flying over the water, moving so fast, and The first mate goes to the captain. Captain McWonder, the visibility is very poor. We're going to have to slow down. Nonsense! Full steam ahead. We'll get through the fog. Crash, bang, shipwreck. Or, Captain, the first mate comes in. There's a storm brewing. The water's getting rough. Nonsense! Full speed ahead. We'll get to the other side of the storm. Shipwreck. Shark food. Shipwreck. Now you're in a dinghy. And the analogy, my folks, that I'm trying to draw is that there are instances when speeding ahead is not prudent or wise. There are times when you need to slow down. You dig? There are times when you need to slow it down. That's what I'm getting to. That's what I'm getting at. The Rams, high power, aerial attack, high octane offense, chuck it, pass happiest on display. Matty Stafford, Matty from the D, maybe he'll be the MVP, right? And yet, when you need to control a game, you're not doing it through the air. You're doing it on the ground. See, it's complimentary football, coach. Or should I say captain? When your team is up, I told you this last episode now. When your team is up 31-7 at halftime, and you come out, chuck it, with no regard for time and score. It shows that there's a schism there in your play call decision making. I call it an idiosyncrasy because you're not controlling the ball or the clock or the game. And where does this show up, my folks? It shows up in the stats. You can see it in the numbers. It shows up in, I'll give you a perfect example. The 25-30 principle. It's based on an offense having at least 55 plays. 25 runs, 30 passes is those are the metrics. The Rams haven't run 55 plays. They'll have 51 plays, 50 plays. Why are you getting so few plays? It happened again. We saw it again in Carolina. The Rams in Carolina with the lead. In the third quarter, after halftime with the lead, they got 3 plays the entire third quarter. How does that happen? How does that happen? 3 plays the entire quarter? It happens because one team, in this case Carolina, one head coach, in this case Canales, understands the book of McWonder, understands the 25-30 principle, understands foundational principles, ball control, game control, clock management. You can't do that with incompletions and 3 and outs. The clock never budges and you're punting. And when the other team is on the principle, on my principle, they're going to beat you every damn time. Now, in this case, which that's the other side of the ledger, that despite these things, the Rams still could have won that game, but you throw in 3 turnovers by your MVP QB? I mean, there's a strong case to be made that because of the nature of that game, Canales and the Panthers were going to get the Rams, whatever they did. Because once again, in the book of McWonder, it stipulates all you got to do is control the ball on the ground. McWonder's going to panic. He's gonna go into chuck it mode. He's going to give up quick 3 and outs. And if you control the ball, control the clock, you wear on that defense, that's another toll that it takes. That defense gets overexposed. It's not complimentary football. And so this week I'm not going to give you a game analysis, but I will highlight one sequence. We do have to spotlight a sequence. We'll get there. But my folks, I just want to say, I trust the captain, but I sleep with one eye open. And when you hear in the distance, too close to the rocks, Captain, nonsense, full steam ahead, you know your ass about to crash. Shipwreck, head for the dinghies. So now, having said all that, let's go ahead and really honestly take a look at what happened in the Rams' upset loss to Carolina. And remember, the Rams were 10.5-point road favorites against Carolina. And Carolina, they had just been handled pretty easily by them damn Niners. So this was a game where if the Rams were just smart, that's what I said last week. If you're just smart, what does that mean? Here's the principle. If you play clean, what does that mean? No poltergeist strikes. No fumbles, coughing them up. If you just do a couple of basic things, you should be able to roll in and roll out of Carolina. But it's like, I've said it many, many times. It's a zero-sum game. L's and dubs, dubs and L's. Which one did you get? McWonder got the L on his head. And it's very clear to me why. And it's not this loss so much as it is what it portends. Nonsense, full steam ahead, too close to the rocks, Captain. Coach, you have two quality running backs. Now, I'm not going to say they're all pro, all world running backs, but they're quality running backs. In fact, in Carolina, your 2 running backs, the both of them, each had over 70 yards rushing. You would think that would be a sign of good things to come. What it told me is that you had a pathway to victory and you opted to ignore it. Your 2 backs each have 70 yards, and I believe Corum, we'll get to the numbers, Deuces, he only had 7 carries, I believe it was. They're breaking off big time yards per pop numbers. And you only give them 11, 12, 7, 13 carries. This is how you lose ball games. We've seen it with the Eagles. Remember, because they're a dysfunctional bunch, right? And so they wanted to prove a point and air it out. And they went up big on them damn Cowboys a week or 2 ago. And then, instead of just doing what they do, running the ball, controlling the clock, controlling the game, they decided they wanted to keep chucking it. And I'll be damned if them damn Cowboys didn't come back and get their asses. And they deserved it. And McWonder deserved it. And my concern is that if he doesn't internalize these these losses ought to register for him. There have been times when I thought maybe he was catching an episode or two of this broadcast. Somebody hip McWonder to it. You've got to use the principle, especially when you're playing outdoors, bad weather, driving rain. You've already in the first half seen your quarterback throw two strikes. Already one, a ghastly, a ghoulish, a grisly pick six. Oh, you've seen it already in the first half. But you managed to get to halftime with a slight lead. And so now, coming out in the second half, you would think now the rain has picked up even more. Now it's a monsoon. It's a driving, pouring rainstorm. You would think, looking at your back's averages, you would think, I'm going to run the ball. I'm going to dominate on the ground. I'm going to play it fundamentally sound. Is that what Captain McWonder did? Oh, hell no. You know who did that? Canales, coach, the Carolina Panthers. So let's go ahead and spotlight a sequence in the second half of the Rams' upset loss to the Panthers. All right, and so now, as we've touched on, the Rams rolled into Carolina feeling a little fat and happy. You know, they were on a streak, 6 in a row, 9-2. Everybody widely proclaiming them to be the number one seed, the number one team in the NFL. I said it. And I still believe that they have the capacity to actualize that. But as long as you have in maggot bisque, it's not going to work. That's not good nourishment. So my concern is that the lesson from a game like this won't be heeded, and the same mistakes will keep plaguing the head coach and play caller. And in the playoffs, it's going to be the same outcome as we've seen in recent years. I'm afraid they're going to be eliminated because a quality team who understands the book of McWonder, they're going to beat him. The journey has been so smooth thus far. We're nearly there now. 12 down, 5 to go. We could see almost sniff land. But we know that in previous voyages, Captain McWonder, he has gotten the ship right to the dock and then crashed into the rocks and people had to swim the shore. He's only safely docked once. And so there's a risk that the old tendencies, the old idiosyncrasies, the old proclivities will continue to manifest themselves. And you know, sometimes you get out to sea on a long journey and, you know, the captain gets to seeing things and people start whispering. Perhaps the captain's gone mad. Now again, there's no sense in me overreacting to one little loss against Carolina. And I'll admit now, a lot of the pundit types, they've dropped the Rams. I saw a lot of, they didn't even have the Rams in the top 5 anymore after that. And this game coming up against the Arizona Cardinals, well, I think this should be a get-right game for LA. So it's not time to panic yet. You don't have to head for the lifeboats just yet, but keep your life vest nearby just in case. That's all I'm saying. You want to have an idea where it is in case you might need it. But the Rams roll into Carolina feeling fat and happy and streaking, and Matty is MVP, front runner, and he had this amazing consecutive touchdown pass streak, 27 in a row, and early in the first quarter, bam, hits another one. They forgot about Tay, and, well, right off the bat now, he has established a new record, 28 consecutive passing touchdowns without a poltergeist strike. Wow, magnificent. But then, in the same first quarter, well, calamity would strike. And I'll be honest with you, I don't blame the first poltergeist strike on Matty. I mean, it was a tip pass, shit happens. Balls up, picked off. Okay. All right, no problem. But the second one, that was grotesque. That was, first of all, it wasn't a good pass, and he admitted it. Matty took responsibility in the presser post-game. He said he left it too far inside. Did you ever? And, the defender housed it to the hizzy. Pick six. Oh, and then, you have a flashback because you remember, man, he used to do that shit all the time. But he's been so good for so long. And hopefully, just an anomaly, another anomaly. But that's my point, my folks. I'm not putting this on Matty. Even though those 3 turnovers were brutal. No, the way I see it, the real issue is that the captain, I'm the captain now. The captain, Captain McWonder, he didn't read the room. He didn't read the tea leaves. He didn't read the sign. You have a lead after the first half, but in that first half, you've been out of balance, you've been pass happy, and your quarterback has thrown not 1, but 2 poltergeist strikes. And the rain has picked up now. It's cold, it's early, and this is an LA team, and, they're not used to playing in these conditions. And so when you take all of that into account, you're on the road against a feisty team. This is an example where you say, let's slow it down. Let's establish dominion. Let's control the game. Let's control the ball. Let's control the clock. How do you do that? How do you prevent your defense from being overexposed? How do you do it? You got backs averaging over 6 yards a carry, sir. Come on now. It's not that hard to figure out. You've got to run the ball. He doesn't want to do it. All right, let's go ahead and highlight this sequence. Let's spotlight it now. The Rams are up. The Rams are up in Carolina. It's the start of the third quarter. Score is 21-17, and as I've said, now it's a driving, pounding rain. And Carolina opens the third quarter with the ball, and wouldn't you know, it's almost as if Coach Canales has been watching Scotty Says. He opens the third quarter with 5 consecutive run plays. See how it's done, Captain? 5 consecutive runs from the Panthers to open the third quarter. Furthermore, it's 7 of 8. 7 of 8 plays have been run plays out the gate for Carolina to start the third. 7 of 8. 7 of 8 run plays before it's a 4th and 3. 4th and 3 at the LA 34. 4th and 3. And I give Canales credit. He played with 4 downs and he did so effectively. He's run 7 of 8 on the ground and on 4th and 3. Well, Bryce Young goes over the top, over the defense, beats a touchdown Carolina, touchdown Panthers 24-21. And now this particular drive to open the third quarter really sets the tone in my mind for the rest of the game. Because Canales, the Panthers, showed you they're ready to play smash mouth football now. No more fooling around now. We're coming out here to run the ball and run it down your throat and make you like it. Okay? And they did just that. Touchdown in the driving rain. And so now they have the lead. And the Rams get their first shot at an offensive possession in the second half. Their first drive of the third quarter. And this is what I'd like to spotlight. This sequence for you. So now, it's about 8 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the third quarter. And the Rams, from their own 28, they give K. Will the carry on first down. Beautiful. He's following suit. He's matching the energy of Canales. Very good, McWonder. K. Will for 5 up the gut. 2nd and 5. Fantastic. Let's hit him again. You saw what Canales did. 5 in a row. 2nd and 5. Matty's dropping back to throw. Oh, really? Yes, he's throwing, and furthermore, he's grazing. Sack grazing on soggy Carolina grass. And now, look at what has happened now. You've gone from 2nd and 5 to 3rd and 13. Loss of 8 on the play. And now you're behind the sticks. Mistake emanating out of the pass game when you should have just kept running the damn ball to begin with. Your backs are eating, they're feasting. What are you doing? And so now it's 3rd and 13. Well, you know, McWonder, he's trailing now, and it's 3rd and 13. He wants to make up the difference. So, well, Matty's throwing again, and it's high, and it's wide in the rain. It's incomplete for Tay, and it's 3 and out. 3 and out. So I have to highlight this sequence, my folks. 1st and 10 from your own 28. First down run, 5 yards, beautiful. 2nd and 5. Drop back, sack, soggy turf, grazing. 3rd and 13. Incomplete punting. And you may recall that those 3 plays that I just outlined for you were the Rams' only offensive plays of the entire third quarter. Those 3. They had 1 3 and out, and they never saw the ball again until the fourth quarter. Why? Because Carolina got the ball back after the punt and continued. Ball control, domination, ground game, fundamental football principles, winning football. That's what they did. McWonder and Matty never touched it again until the fourth quarter. And so I have to highlight this. McWonder could have followed suit. He saw the path that Canales had laid out for him. Run the ball 5 times, 7 of 8. And then strike when you suck the defense in to stop the run. Strike over the top. That's the way you do it. In a driving rain in Carolina in the cold in December. That's the way you do it. But not our captain. No, our captain said, I want to chuck it and chuck it and chuck it again. And then I'm punting. And then I don't see the ball till the fourth quarter. And so, my folks, I'm afraid that I am required. I am compelled. I must report that this sequence, this has been your McBlunder Spotlight sequence of the week. Beautiful. putrid. All right. So now, obviously, as you know, Rams still had a chance to pull it out, but after Matty coughed up that fumble, well, it was pretty much all over but the shouting. And I wonder if perhaps maybe they ought to get in touch with the Immortal Chamber people and the football exorcist and have them come back over and give Matty just like a touch-up dose. Splash some Gatorade on him. The football gods compel you! Because you remember what the demon told him when they did the first exorcism. He's mine. And so, just when you think you're free and clear, it's like how the sequels always go down. Just when you think everything's safe, there the demon is looking over your shoulder. In this case, his name is Polty. And so in that gruesome third quarter, the Rams possessed the ball less than 2 minutes of clock, and Carolina over 13 minutes of game clock. And yeah, the Rams would take the lead in the fourth quarter for a short bit, but it would be only briefly. And I mean, Carolina was just about it on that day. They were going to have that game, and they were not going to be denied. And they got help, of course. And so, 31-28, Rams upset by the Panthers. All right, so let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the numbers because the numbers are going to bear all of this out, my folks. And I hope that it will help you to have a better idea of where my frustration comes from and my concern moving forward. All right, so let's look at the numbers. Well, here's the thing. The total yards, fairly close. Passing yards, fairly close. It's just almost like last week's numbers, except, of course, drastically different scores and outcome. But the Rams offensively outperformed the opponent in every category of note except one. Anyone care to guess? Rushing. So this is the flaw. This is the fly. It's not that the backs aren't capable. It's not that the offensive line isn't capable. It's that the head coach and play caller doesn't have the resolve. He doesn't have the requisite resolve and determination, mindfulness, willfulness to run the damn ball. And because of that, there's always a risk, you see. You could get way up ahead and there's a risk. Remember that Indianapolis game, the Colts, a couple years back, how Shane Steichen ran him down because he was up big, but he kept throwing, and Shane Steichen, down 20 or more, just kept running and caught him and sent the game to overtime or whatever it was. Anyway, the rushing numbers week in and week out are inferior to your opponent when you have, by all accounts, superior personnel and scheme. So, okay, this is where I say game mismanagement. This is where I say recklessness, eschewing the run, abandoning balance. This is how you see it play out in the numbers. All right? The Rams. Remember now, the Rams only ran a total of 51 plays. Circle that. 25-30 principle. It assumes you'll have 55 plays. Only 51. They've been short of 55 recently in a previous game. Meanwhile, Carolina had 62 plays that they ran. You see? And so Carolina, dominates time of possession. They dominate in first downs. They dominate. And so that is where the game is won and lost. First downs, plays, time of possession. You can amass a lot of yards in a short amount of time, and that might look on paper comparable to the opponent, but you did it in 15 minutes less game clock. Because you're chucking big chunk plays. And so the other thing, of course, is the turnovers. That'll kill you every time too. So if you combine turnovers with game mismanagement, you're a dead duck trying to quack. Well, all right. So now let's go ahead and really illustrate it, underscore it, underline it. Let's do what we must do. Let's apply the principle, my 25-30 principle, to be precise. And let's start with the victors. Let's start with the Panthers. All right, now, Bryce Young, 15 out of 20. 20 completions, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns. No poltergeist strikes. He was sacked twice. So that's a total then. 22 dropbacks. Ding, ding, ding. That's a green check. 22. 25-30 principle requires, mandates, stipulates that you must cap your quarterback at 30 throws or less. And that includes sacks. They had 22. And so that's a check mark. What about rushing? All right. Well, let's see. Hubbard, 17 carries for 83, 4.9 a pop. And then Dowdle, 18 carries for Dowdle for 58 yards. And so right there, just between the two running backs, that's 35 carries. 35 of them things. And then Bryce Young had 5 for 23, 4.6 a pop. These aren't just he's falling down and trying to escape. He's making yardage. They had a grand total of 40 rushes. 40 runs did Carolina. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. That's how you do it in the driving rain. That's how you do it, Canales. That's how you do it, McWonder. I'm the captain now. And so 22 pass attempts, 40 rushes. That is a balance differential of plus 18. And you have hit both metrics of the 25-30 principle. Congratulations, coach. Well done. That's how you do it. That's how I would draw it up. I wish somebody could get through to McWonder. Because our captain, he is, let's call him hard ahead. Both metrics met for Carolina. Plus 18 balance differential. Now, what you think? Who do you think gets the win in that case? You already know. But let's look at the losers. Let's look at the Rams with the L's on their head. All right, Matty Stafford. Matty from the D. Okay. 18 for 28. Okay, that's within. Well, there were 2 sacks. So that gets him to 30. But listen, 25-30 principle, 30 or less. They capped him at 30. That's a check mark. Now, he had 2 poltergeist strikes. 2 of them things. And he coughed up a fumble. So he did not have a good game, Betty. But you get a green check on the principal metric. Now, here's the thing, though. Rushing. Let's look at the rushing for the Rams. Okay, Corum. Corum was your leading rusher on the day. Look at this, my folks. 7 carries for 81 yards. Huh? 7 carries, 81 yards. That's an 11.6 yards per tote average. 11.6. God damn it. You're too close to the rocks, Captain. Nonsense. Full steam ahead. He only got 7 totes. He had 81 yards and a tutty. Okay, I'm just saying, this is quorum. Deuces. What about K. Will, your primary back? You must have made up the difference there, right? In the rain? K. Will, let's see. 13. He had 13 carries, 72 yards. 72. He eclipsed 70 as well. But he had 13 carries, a 5.5 yard per carry average, and he had a tutty. And so your backs are both. 5.5 was the lower average on the day for Rams running backs, and that is sparkling. You know, in the grand scheme, you can give me 5.5 a carry. Come on, man. Feed him. Feed him, Seymour. And then, Corum, Deuces, you change up back. It was his day. 11.6 a pop. But the Rams only had 20 run plays on the entire day. Only 20. 25-30 principle requires a minimum of 25. Damn it. Rams with that magnificent, eye-popping, gaudy yards per carry average for both their running backs only got 20 carries on a soggy outdoor winter day in Carolina. Is it winter yet? It's December. That's a red X. And so McWonder hits one metric by the skin of his teeth and misses one badly. And so his balance differential on the day is a -10. -10. While you got Canales with a +18. I mean, you know what's going to happen with these kind of numbers, my folks. And so, yet again, you see the power, the impressive reliability, the accuracy of my 25-30 principle. It just doesn't fail. Just use it, coach. I didn't charge you for it. I gave it to you free. But that hubris, I want to do it my way. Poltergeist, right? My folks, in the attempt to keep this episode from getting any longer, I'm going to go ahead and hold off on the look around the league until next week. We'll delve more into where things stand, but suffice it to say, it is quite surprising to see New England at 11-2. They're 11-2 and they're whooping people real good. They beat the devil out the Giants. Did you see the hit they put on Jackson Dart? He just got back from a concussion and he got waylaid. I mean, and I'm like, New England, that's the thing, you see. New England, they play fundamental, sound, physical football. They're 11-2. My son, I make the joke often that Father Shanahan and I have one thing in common, and that is we both have sons named Sean. Shout out to my son, Sean. But he asked me who I think was most likely to come out of the AFC, and, well, as you know, at the beginning of the year, I predicted it would be Baltimore, but that looks extremely unlikely. And based on the landscape and what I'm seeing now, I told him it looks like it will be New England. I mean, 11-2 and beating people real good, and they don't have a tough schedule. They're almost certainly going to be the 1 seed. Indy is faltering, and, well, I mean, they look clear and away the best team in the AFC at this point after 13 games for them. They've only got 4 games left to play. So, in the NFC, well, the number 1 seed now with the Rams taking that ugly loss is, it's the Toothless Bears. They're toothless no more, I guess. Hey, Coach, it makes a big difference, didn't it? You saw when the Rams all those years with Jeff, where's the bar Fisher, man, they were putrid. And then McWonder comes and playoffs. And, they got this guy Johnson, poached him put him up from the Lions, and now look at him now. The number one seed, Chicago Bears. Well, I don't think it's going to stay that way to the end, but it's impressive. They're 9-3, just like the Rams, except they occupy the number one seed currently, just based on tiebreakers and this, et cetera, et cetera. So next up for the Rams, it's Arizona. And as I say, that ought to be a get-right game, because they're doing what Arizona does. And then you got to watch out, though, now. You can't just take them for granted. But the Rams ought to be able to get right against Arizona. Then the aforementioned Lions put them up on Sunday Night Football. That ought to be interesting. Then the Rams go to Seattle. Then they finish the season with the Dirty Birds, Atlanta, and the Cardinals again. And so the Rams ought to at least get 3 of those, which if they do, if the Rams get 3 of those, then they end up at the aforementioned prediction of 12-5, which I gave you back in August. And so it's 12-5 looks very much like it could be the deal. It would be nice for him to get to 13-4. That would be much nicer, but we'll see how it all plays out. And so, at this point now, what I'm going to simply ask of you, what I'm going to ask you to do is throw me one of these. Just one, please. Like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. And ring the bell. Ring the bell, Captain. And that way you'll be notified when I drop my next video, which won't be too long from this video, because we will be back on the other side of the Rams-Cardinals game, and we'll chop up the outcome of that one. And so until then, my friends, Scotty says, hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Thank you for watching. One love.